Hello, everybody. My name is Gray Oldenburg, and welcome back to the Jungle Show, where we discuss all things Auburn men's basketball 52 weeks out of the year. Every single Friday, myself and my dad, Chris Oldenburg, will be right here live on the Auburn Daily YouTube channel, on the Auburn Daily Facebook page, and on the Auburn Daily Twitch stream to discuss Auburn men's basketball every Friday at 6 p.m. And here is our second ever episode. Tonight's episode, we will discuss all things Jabari Smith, his amazing freshman career at amazing freshman season, and end of his career at Auburn, all the accolades and awards that he received, and a look ahead to the 2022 NBA draft for him. All that next. All right, welcome back. This is the Jungle Show. Hi, everybody. Gray Oldenburg, like I said in the intro, today is all about Jabari Smith. We are live every single Friday here on the Auburn Daily YouTube channel, and I am excited to keep on doing this and keep on being able to interact and be with you guys live. And I mean, this is such a great opportunity for myself and my dad, and to be able to sit here on this great platform to talk about Auburn basketball is my dream. It really is. So, but today will be specifically about the freshman phenom for Auburn this past year, Jabari Smith. Unbelievable season. He's got an unbelievable future, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. We will talk about some of his performances and achievements this year at Auburn. We'll also discuss 5 potential locations that Jabari Smith could end up at the next level in the NBA. I wrote an article at Auburn Daily back early April, and we will go through that article and those 5 destinations and kind of discuss each one. If you'd like to interact with us, you can find my Twitter handle right here at Gray Oldenburg, or you can go to the live chat or in the comments during the replay. Feel free to talk to us, ask us questions. We love to interact with y'all. And we will talk about that. And then next week, we will talk about Walker Kessler, specifically looking ahead to his NBA and his past year at Auburn. But let's start with a few housewarming things to start us off. My dad will not be here today due to a work emergency. We will miss him. Look, I love him. He's unbelievable. So, and he's a great help, and he knows his stuff. So, but he will not be here tonight. No, not for a bad reason, but for work emergency. So I know he wishes he could be here talking Jabari Smith with us. But a few other things in and around the Auburn basketball program. 2 other guys have declared for the draft and have wanting to test out the draft waters, and while still maintaining their college eligibility, and that is Alan Flanagan, the junior guard, and sophomore center Dylan Cardwell. Both of those guys, I think it will be a different kind of I'd say atmosphere towards the NBA. I think Allen has a lot more potential at that next level to be able to succeed at that next level. Nothing against Dylan. I think Dylan could be a great NBA player. I'm talking about as of right now. I think Allen's the more profound player, even though his struggles through this year, after his injury. But that's besides the point. I think both of those guys are going into the NBA draft to get feedback, know what they need to improve on, so they can come back to college and profound those before actually going to the next level. Some more around the program. Look, we talk about incoming guys. Auburn is in the big time running for 2 incoming guys. One, a transfer from Morehead State, Janai Broome, the 6'10" center who averaged about 16 points and 11 rebounds this season at Morehead State. Auburn played against him in the first game of the year, and Walker Kessler kind of controlled that matchup. But Johni Broome showed extreme strides throughout the year, scoring 32 points and 13 rebounds in their in the OVC championship against Murray State for Morehead State. But he would be an unbelievable pickup for the Auburn Tigers and Bruce Pearl to add to this front court depth. And it's between us and Florida. He will commit on Saturday, April 30th, which is tomorrow if you're watching this live, at 2 p.m. Central Time or 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And I like our chances there. I like our chances for Johni Broome. Of course, if we land him, we'll kind of discuss him more on next week's show. But going into another guy, again, adding front court depth, you're talking about getting a guy like Julian Phillips, who decommitted from LSU, a lot like Yohan Traore, who is a current Auburn signee, in the front court, but another 5-star, incredible talent, really long and athletic, can shoot it from the outside, but is extremely uber athletic. Would be an unbelievable pickup if Bruce signs Julian Phillips and gets him to commit. That would be the second highest rated prospect in the draft or in Auburn basketball history to sign for Auburn. And he already has the third, but that would be Yohan Traore. But the number one guy, let's go ahead and get right into it, Jabari Smith, the second. The 6'10" freshman from Fayetteville, Georgia. Number 10, Jabari Smith. Look, Jabari had an unbelievable year. Started off a little slow when it came to numbers and putting up stats and stat padding. I think you kind of saw his his will to win more than his will to put points on the board or grab 15 rebounds or take all these shots. I think you saw him be a team player, him show that want to win. And whether you're talking about, and that didn't go away. That's not something that that can be taught or coached. That's something that comes within from a player like that and like a player like Jabari Smith. And that's exactly what you saw. He was absolutely incredible throughout the year, got better and better as the season went on. And I think that's what you're going to see when you're talking about him going forward onto the next level and into the NBA draft. Jabari Smith, he averaged 16.9 points a game this year, grabbing 7.4 rebounds. He earned SEC Freshman of the Week multiple times, which led to him winning SEC Freshman of the Year. Smith is still considered the highest ranked recruit in Auburn basketball history. And he was awarded many second-team All-American honors, which is unbelievable for a guy like that to be in an Auburn basketball uniform. And I've said it all year long. Auburn fans need to enjoy Jabari Smith while he is still in an Auburn uniform, because that won't be long. That won't be long. That will be from the months of November to March. And that's exactly what it was. Jabari Smith declared for the NBA draft in an unbelievable video that he produced and directed and posted. And he's projected high. As he was when he committed to Auburn, he was projected around the 7, 8, 9 range in the overall draft for the NBA this draft. And he just got better and better as the year went on. He showed how refined of a shooter he was. He got better in so many other categories, including his ball handling, including people kind of saw the dog in him. People saw that he wants the ball in the final seconds. He wants the ball when his team needs him the most. And that's something that these NBA teams and franchises are looking for in a guy like Jabari Smith, who's 6'10", unbelievable measurables, has shown anything you want him to show you. So, but yeah, Jabari Smith, unbelievable year at Auburn. Smith struggled in the first game against Morehead State and then came out and kind of set the tone for the rest of the year. The second game against Louisiana Monroe at home, scoring 23 points and 10 rebounds. And then you just saw him get better and better and better. He had some great games in the battle for Atlantis for Auburn, as Auburn goes 11-1 In the non-conference, again, some unbelievable games from Jabari Smith, 21 against Nebraska and Atlanta, going back home. That's always special for guys like that. 22 points against Syracuse. Again, you saw the dog in him in that game. Him turn around and talking to Jim Boeheim about what he said about Walker Kessler leaving North Carolina. You just kind of saw that will and the mean in Jabari Smith, not in a bad way, but in a very, very good way, the way that he could turn that into success on the basketball court. And that's exactly what he did. And then Jabari Smith, just like I said, he wins SEC Freshman of the Year, and he won that for a reason. He was absolutely incredible in the conference play, especially on the back end, having some unbelievable games, going to Alabama, scoring 25 points. When Oklahoma came in, I know that's not a conference game, the SEC Big 12 Challenge, he had 23 points, 20 points in the loss at Arkansas. That was the end of the 19-game win streak, led by a guy like Jabari Smith and others. His ability to also make his teammates better, and I'm not just talking about Walker Kessler, I'm talking about Zeb Jasper, Wendell Green, KD Johnson, Alan Flanagan, Devin Cambridge, Jalen Williams. All of these guys got better. Dylan Cardwell. All these guys got better when Jabari was on the floor. And you saw that in plus-minus numbers. You saw that in win-loss records, with Auburn bouncing up to number 1 in the AP poll for the first time in program history. Jabari Smith, especially, just like I said, the back half of the year, or the back end of the year, was outstanding. Showed why he should be in consideration for the number 1 pick come the NBA draft this year. Jabari Smith, look, I'm looking down the edge of the schedule right now, and the top scores in each game for Auburn from these from the end of this conference, and it all starts with that Vanderbilt game. He had 20 in that Arkansas game, and then the Vanderbilt game in Auburn or in Neville Arena, he has 31 points. You just don't see a guy like 6'10", make 7 threes and go for 31 points in a game like that. And not to top it at all, but he went to Florida in that tough loss where Auburn did not play well, especially offensively, where he has 28 points and 7 rebounds. He was outstanding. And then you come back and you win against Ole Miss. He has 15 points. Was the leading scorer in that game as well. And then you go to Tennessee. A tough loss for Auburn. Really wanted to win that Tennessee game. It was a fight to the very end, and Auburn was not going to let up. But a 5-point loss to Tennessee, he has 27 points and 8 rebounds. So you're starting to see that those stats start to reflect what he's doing on the basketball floor. And then the Mississippi State game, the overtime win in Starkville, he has 27 points and 10 rebounds. Outstanding. Especially the dunk at the end. That was unbelievable. I was there at that game. Unbelievable Auburn crowd for that Mississippi State game. But the dunk at the end of the game and his persistent play throughout the whole game, we talk about that being a great KD Johnson overtime. And yes, not to take credit for KD Johnson, he came alive in the overtime, going from 2 points to 14 points in 5 minutes. But Jabari Smith was the player of that game, and I don't think it was close, because he went for 27 points and 10 rebounds. He was great throughout the entire basketball game. And then South Carolina comes into town. You got a chance for a share. The end of the game, you got a chance to win the SEC championship after you won the share of it when you went to Mississippi State. And now you got a chance to cut down the nets in Auburn Arena and make sure that nobody else knows. Nobody else can call themselves SEC champions except for you. And that's exactly what happened. Jabari Smith, 21 points and 6 rebounds in Auburn in his final game in Neville Arena, and the 11-point win against South Carolina. Absolutely incredible year for Jabari Smith. And yes, the postseason, he had 17 points and 9 rebounds, and the really heartbreaking and terrible loss in the SEC tournament to Texas A&M. And then has 2 good games in the NCAA tournament. Nobody shot the ball well in the second round against Miami. He also showed his ability to rebound the ball exceptionally well in those 2 games, 14 rebounds against Jacksonville State and 15 against Miami. He just got better in every single thing that we were, complaining about. If we were complaining about anything throughout the year, he got better at it no matter what and no matter when. Every single time. He had 20 points against Jacksonville State. Probably the dunk of the year. I think that's arguable, but I think it is the dunk of the year over Brandon Huffman, former North Carolina player, went to Jacksonville State, a 7-footer. Jabari Smith misses the three, gets the board, and comes down, just crams it on him. That was an unbelievable dunk. Again, proving to us that he's got the athleticism, he's got the length, he's of course got the shooting ability, he's got the rebound ability, he's got that clutch, mean gene that those NBA franchises are looking for in a guy like him, who's 6'10", who's really long, who's shown who has proven himself on so many different levels. So, unbelievable year from Jabari Smith, where he gets SEC Freshman of the Year. But going forward, talking about this NBA draft, the upcoming. Look, I think this is a good top-heavy draft. I don't think it's as deep as some people think that it is. But with that being said, Jabari is a guy that will be on that top end of this draft. And look, hey, Auburn fans are not used to having a guy like that who's on the top end of the draft, who will go to a team that didn't perform as well as they wanted to this past year in the NBA. And I think these 5 teams are 5 of those teams. The 5 teams that I listed in the article on auburndaily.com are very much in that category where they have not performed that well. They do have some young talent. They do have some young stars, or they have some draft capital that they will use in the future to build around a guy like Jabari Smith, or a guy like Paolo Banchero, or a guy like Chet Holmgren or Jaden Ivey. Any 4 of those guys, I think those are the top 4 in the draft. I think you could order them however way you wanted to. Right. I do think those are the top 4 in this year's draft. And I think Jabari is on the top end of that. And I'm not going to – that's just how it is, due to his size, due to his shooting ability, due to himself. I think he's one of the most refined players in this draft and NBA-ready players in this draft because of his abilities. But let's go through the article, talk about 5 destinations, and kind of get going here on for Jabari Smith, looking ahead towards the NBA draft. And no, we will not know the order of the draft, so I do not know who has the number 1, number 2, number 3 on pick yet. We will figure that out. The draft lottery is on May 17th. We will figure out the top 14 teams in the draft. That is considered the lottery. And then the other 16 slots will be filled after the playoffs are concluded, and that will go just based off standings and where they finish in the NBA playoffs. But all the non-playoff teams have a chance at the number 1 pick in the draft lottery. Of course, the worst teams have a higher chance to get that higher pick. So let's go through these 5. My first team that I listed for a destination for Jabari Smith is the Orlando Magic. And I know Auburn fans would enjoy that, especially him teaming up with former Auburn Tiger Chuma Okeke. The Magic right now, where they finished 21-59 as of April 6th when I wrote this, which was the second worst record in the NBA. The Magic, they really struggled this year in getting and kind of meshing that young talent. The Magic are a team that, with guys like Cole Anthony, Mohamed Bamba, Jonathan Isaac, Jalen Suggs, Chuma Okeke. They have those guys. They have that young talent there. They just need to mesh it all together and maybe get 1 or 2 more, young superstars. And that's exactly what Jabari Smith can bring to the Orlando Magic. just like I said, I think they need another one, and I think they need another forward. They drafted Jalen Suggs last year in their draft, or the fifth pick, I believe. I think they drafted Cole Anthony a few years back. I think they've gone away from needing that front court help, but after they traded Nikola Vucevic to the Chicago Bulls, I think this is a Magic team that needs help, not necessarily at the center position, but at that forward position. If you move Mohamed Baba down to the center spot. So the Magic shot 33% from three this season, which ranks 28th out of the 30 NBA teams. And look, Jabari Smith shot 42% from three this year at Auburn, which is absolutely unbelievable, especially a guy for his size and length at 6'10". And that's special. That's special talent. And that's exactly what Orlando needs. They need a top shooter. That should be a high priority for the Magic in this draft. But I also noted in the article, just like I said earlier, pairing up Auburn guys in the NBA is something that Auburn fans are not used to at all. And that's exactly what you could see if Jabari gets drafted by Orlando with him and Chuma there. So on to the next team that I listed for Jabari to go to. I like the Houston Rockets. I like the Houston Rockets fit for Jabari. I think they're a little bit more known for guys like Jabari Smith than Orlando is. And I think the top end of the franchise front office is better than Orlando. So I really like Houston's fit. They ended with the worst record in the NBA. Despite having a young, upcoming superstar, Jalen Green, and Auburn fans will know all about Jalen Green with his almost commitment to the Tigers back before last year. And Jalen Green played fantastic, but the Rockets overall really, really struggled. And they do have good young talent, but they're a very guard-heavy team led by guys like John Wall, Dennis Schroeder, Kevin Porter Jr. They're a very guard-heavy team. I think this team is missing that forward that they lost with Clint Capella. Not the center position. I'm not saying Jabari Smith needs to go play the center position, but I think pairing up a guy with Christian Wood is something that they need to do, ASAP, as soon as possible. And I think that's exactly what they could do with a guy like Jabari Smith. Moving on to my third team I listed, and none of these are in order. I'm just going based off of what I thought of and what the research told me. So I just just reading off of the article. You can go find this article. It's published on April 7th on auburndaily.com. I will be tweeting out a link to the article if you want to go read it right after the show ends. So if you want to go read it, you can go look on my Twitter page at Gray Oldenburg and find it there as well. So let's talk about the third team that I listed, and that's the Oklahoma City Thunder. I said I really like the Rockets fit. I also really like the Thunder fit. I think those are my two favorites, in terms of fit for Jabari, specifically based on his demeanor towards wanting to win. And I think the Thunder have set themselves up with draft capital, after trading away Paul George, after trading away Russell Westbrook. They have guys like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Josh Giddey, Trey Mann. They have those guards. They have those young, talented guards that they can build around. But I think you need that forward, especially a stretch forward, because as well as the Rockets do, and that's exactly what Jabari Smith can bring to the Thunder. The Thunder are another team, just like the Magic, that did not shoot well from the three-point line this year, shooting 32.5% on the season is one of the main reasons that they were not as good as they wanted to be this year in the NBA. So And look, Jabari Smith makes that impact immediately. That absolutely incredible. Talking about the next team, well, that I'll go to, the Indiana Pacers are another team I think could sneak into that top 5 range. Maybe into the top 3. The Pacers were 13th in the Eastern Conference this year, which will put them, around 6th or 7th range in terms of odds to get that number 1 pick and be able to choose whoever they want. After trading Domantas Sabonis, they're in rebuilding mode, and that's exactly what they've shown to do. And look, they still have a lot of good veteran leadership guys. TJ Warren, Ricky Rubio are guys that need to be on this team to help them rebuild. But they also have gone and they have 2 really good guards, young guards, like Tyrese Halliburton and Malcolm Brogdon. 2, I think that would be a good fit, especially considering, the past 2 teams, the Rockets and Thunder, they might need center help. The Pacers do not need any center help. Miles Turner is a beast, and I think they need to go with a forward. And I think that's exactly what Indiana needs to be looking for, and he would fit perfectly. And that would be something that would put the Pacers back on track for their next rebuild. Let's show this. My dad is watching. He's at work in a work emergency right now, but he obviously has shown his dislike in Jabari Smith going to the Indiana Pacers. Goodness gracious. But my last team that I put up on the article, my 5th and final team for best fits and final destinations for Jabari Smith's NBA career and NBA draft, is the Detroit Pistons. And personally, I don't like the fit and the hear about him going to Detroit. I don't know how I feel about it, but it shows up on paper as beautiful as you can get it. The Pistons have been a very interesting case recently. They were 14th in the Eastern Conference this year, which will put them right around the top 5 range, for the draft. They outperformed what they were supposed to do this year, and which then being 14th in the Eastern Conference, nobody thought they were going to do any, but they won 24 games this year. Detroit is one of, if not the youngest team in the NBA, which is crazy to think about. Talk about guys like Cade Cunningham, who they drafted this past year and the first overall pick, and Jeremiah Grant, Sadiq Bey, Marvin Bagley just got added to that team. So some studs on this Pistons team, and I think we need to be thinking about this as a potential destination for Jabari, even though I don't like the fit. As a Hornets fan, I'm not a fan of him going to the Pistons. I don't like the Pistons, but just like I said, it shows up great on the paper. Just like what I said about the Thunder and the Magic, one of the biggest problems for Detroit this year was their 3-point shooting. They were 29th in the NBA in 3-point percentage at 32.8%. I quoted in the article, I feel like Smith would thrive at Detroit with their need for young, tall wing forwards and for their 3-point shooting. That guard talent that they have with Grant Bay and if you want to call Grant a guard, and Cade Cunningham, they've shown that they can put those guards up right now. They need that forward. They need that dominant player. They need that dog, just like Jabari Smith in this draft or in this free agency. I think that's exactly what they're going to look for in the draft. And Jabari's a guy that the Pistons could build around, just like all 5 of these teams, just like Orlando, Houston, Oklahoma City, Indiana, and Detroit. I think all 5 of these teams could realistically build around a guy like Jabari Smith or Hughes Jabari Smith as one of their building blocks to build that young talented core that we've seen a lot of these NBA teams, especially teams that have not shown to be as successful recently, into the successful playoff teams to get them back into where the Pistons want to be. But just like I said, we do not know the order of the draft yet. The NBA draft lottery is set for May 17th, just like I said, which will tell Auburn fans a lot about where Jabari Smith could end up with his possibility of being the number 1 overall pick. He is currently projected to be that number 1 overall pick by betting odds. I think they have him at minus 110 for that number 1 pick, which is the highest. And Banchero and Holmgren are right behind him. But, you talk about some other teams that you love to see Jabari fit with. I think, talk about stars you want him to play with. Talk about guys you want passing Jabari the ball or Jabari passing to, or, you want to see him play with the best. You want to see him win. And, if he goes to one of these 5 teams, winning is going to come difficult rather than it would be if he went to somebody, say, like a Brooklyn or maybe play the guy that Damian Lillard at the Trailblazers, or you want to talk about maybe going to San Antonio playing with DeJounte Murray somewhere else, somewhere that has shown that they could win with the talent they already have, and they can build using Jabari Smith. So that is it in the article. I quoted at the end of the article, I said, as Auburn fans sit back and enjoy the draft festivities, because guys like Jabari Smith do not come around very often, and they really, really don't. So, but that is it for the article. Just like I said, I will post it on a link to the article on Twitter right after the show. Right after the show ends, right after the broadcast ends. And that way, in case you're watching the replay, you want to follow along, you can go find it on my Twitter at Gray Oldenburg. But that'll be all for the Jabari Smith episode. This was episode 2 of the Jungle Show. I enjoyed every single second of it. This is a dream come true for me. Zach and Lance, all the guys at Auburn Daily, they do an incredible job there. Go check out all the stuff that we have going, auburndaily.com, the Sports Illustrated site, or you can check out the Twitter, if that's easier for you, at SI_Auburn. Go check us out, find us, read the stuff, interact with us. You can find us all on Twitter. For me, at Gray Oldenburg. For my dad, at War Eagle Hoops. Find him on Twitter. Go get mad at him for not joining us today, but that's okay. He'll be back next week. Next week we are going to talk all about Walker Kessler. Talk about my article that I wrote on Auburn Daily. Back around April 20th something. I'm not sure when the correct date was for that, but it is on auburndaily.com. 5 destinations for Walker Kessler to end up in the NBA draft as we look forward before we hit the NBA draft lottery to try and figure out where our Auburn guys are going to end up playing at the next level. That's exactly what we'll be talking about next Friday. I'm excited to keep doing this. Dad will be back on next Friday. We'll be live here on the Auburn Daily YouTube channel, the Auburn Daily Facebook page, or the Auburn Daily Twitch live stream Friday at 6 p.m. Central Time or at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And this is the Auburn basketball. This is the Jungle Show, where we talk Auburn basketball 52 weeks out of the year. My name is Gray Oldenburg. See y'all.